The Arizona desert painted the sky in brilliant shades of orange and purple as the annual Apache Community Festival came to life on the reservation. Traditional drums echoed across the gathering, mixing with the laughter of children and the warm conversations of families sharing food and stories under the vast southwestern sky. 8-year-old Tommy Yazzie sat quietly in his wheelchair at a small table adorned with a simple chocolate birthday cake, 8 candles flickering in the gentle evening breeze. His dark eyes, wise beyond his years, watched the other children run and play around the festival grounds while he remained stationary, an island of stillness in the sea of celebration. Tommy's sweetheart, his grandmother, Maria Yazzie, approached with careful steps, her weathered hands gripping a walking cane. At 73, she moved with the deliberate pace of someone whose body had carried the weight of many sorrows. "Are you ready to make a wish?" Tommy looked up at his grandmother, seeing the exhaustion she tried to hide behind her loving smile. Since his parents had died in a car accident 2 years ago, Grandmother Maria had become his entire world, caregiver, protector, and the only family he had left. But he could see how hard it was for her to keep up with his needs, especially since the accident that had left him paralyzed from the waist down. "I don't know what to wish for, Grandmother," Tommy said softly, his voice barely audible above the festival sounds. Maria's heart ached at the resignation in her grandson's voice. Once, Tommy had been a vibrant, energetic boy who climbed trees and raced across the desert with his friends. The accident that had taken his parents had also stolen his mobility and, it seemed, much of his joy. "You could wish for anything, little warrior," Maria said, using the pet name his father had given him. "What would make you happy?" Tommy considered this seriously, as he did most things. "I wish I could run with the other kids again. I wish Mom and Dad were here. I wish." He trailed off, looking around at the families gathered together, fathers lifting children onto their shoulders, mothers braiding their daughters' hair. "What else, Tommy?" "I wish I had a dad again," he whispered, so quietly that Maria had to lean down to hear him. The words hit Maria like a physical blow. She had tried so hard to be everything Tommy needed, but she knew she couldn't replace what he had lost. At her age, with her arthritis and failing energy, she struggled to provide the active, engaged parenting a boy like Tommy deserved. "Oh, my sweet boy," she murmured, stroking his thick black hair. "Your parents are watching over you and they love you so much. And I love you more than all the stars in the sky." "I know, Grandmother. I love you too." Tommy managed a small smile for her benefit, though his eyes remained sad. As the sun continued its descent toward the horizon, other families began gathering around their own tables, but Tommy's remained notably empty except for him and his grandmother. It wasn't that the community didn't care. Everyone on the reservation knew and loved the Yazzie family. But Tommy's situation was complicated. His disability required patience and understanding that many people, especially those with their own children to watch, found challenging to navigate. "There's the birthday boy," called out Mrs. Begay, one of Maria's longtime friends, as she approached with her own grandchildren in tow. 8 years old today. You're getting so grown up, Tommy." "Thank you, Mrs. Begay," Tommy replied politely, though he noticed how her grandchildren hung back, unsure how to interact with him. This was the pattern Tommy had grown accustomed to: adults who were kind but awkward, children who were curious but kept their distance. His wheelchair seemed to create an invisible barrier that few people knew how to cross. As the festival continued around him, Tommy found himself studying the other families. He watched fathers teaching their sons to throw horseshoes, mothers dancing with their daughters to the traditional music, siblings chasing each other through the gathering with shrieks of delight. The longing in his chest grew stronger with each passing moment. "Grandmother," he said suddenly, "can we go home soon? I'm getting tired." Maria looked at her grandson with concern. The festival had barely begun, and she had hoped that being around other people might lift his spirits. But she could see the sadness in his eyes, the way he seemed to shrink into himself when surrounded by the joy he felt excluded from. "Of course, sweetheart. Let me just say goodbye to a few people and then we'll—" "Look, Daddy. There's a boy with a birthday cake." The excited voice belonged to a little girl with blonde pigtails who had just arrived at the festival with her father. Emma Harrison, 7 years old and full of the fearless curiosity that characterized children her age, had spotted Tommy immediately and was already tugging on her father's hand. Cole Harrison followed his daughter's gaze and felt his heart clench at the sight before him. A young boy sat alone at a birthday table, his wheelchair positioned carefully beside it, while an elderly woman stood nearby looking tired and overwhelmed. The isolation of the scene reminded Cole painfully of his own recent struggles with loneliness and loss. "Can we go say happy birthday, Daddy? Please?" Emma asked, her blue eyes bright with genuine enthusiasm. Cole hesitated. He and Emma were newcomers to the area, having moved to Arizona 6 months ago after his wife's death from cancer. He worked at a ranch about 20 miles from the reservation and had brought Emma to the festival at the invitation of one of his Apache co-workers, hoping to help her make friends and experience the local culture. But he wasn't sure if approaching the boy would be welcome or intrusive. "I don't know, sweetheart," Cole said gently. "We don't want to bother them." "But Daddy," he looked sad. "And it's his birthday. Nobody should be sad on their birthday." Emma's innocent observation cut straight to Cole's heart. His daughter had an innate ability to see past surface differences to the emotions underneath, a gift that had helped them both navigate their grief over the past year. "You're right," Cole said, making a decision that would change all their lives. "Let's go introduce ourselves." As they approached Tommy's table, Cole could see the wariness in both the boys' and the grandmother's eyes. He understood their caution. A tall, white cowboy approaching during a Native American cultural celebration might seem out of place or unwelcome. "Excuse me," Cole said softly, removing his hat respectfully. "I'm Cole Harrison and this is my daughter Emma. We were wondering." He looked down at Tommy, whose dark eyes were fixed on him with curious intensity. "Would it be all right if we joined you for your birthday celebration?" The question hung in the air for a moment, simple yet profound. Tommy looked up at this stranger, a man with kind eyes and a gentle voice, accompanied by a little girl who was smiling at him without a trace of pity or awkwardness. "Can we join you?" Cole repeated gently, his voice carrying a warmth that seemed to wrap around Tommy like a blanket. For the first time in months, Tommy felt something stir in his chest that might have been hope. Yes, you can join us," Tommy said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. He looked up at his grandmother, who nodded with a mixture of surprise and cautious welcome. "I'm Maria Yazzie," his grandmother said, extending a weathered hand to Cole. "And this is my grandson Tommy. Today is his 8th birthday." "It's an honor to meet you both," Cole replied, shaking Maria's hand with genuine respect. "Emma here insisted we come over when she saw it was someone's special day." Emma bounced on her toes, her excitement barely contained. "Happy birthday. I'm 7, so you're older than me. Do you like chocolate cake?" "I love chocolate cake. Can I sit next to you?" Tommy blinked at the rapid-fire questions, and used to such enthusiastic attention from another child. Yes, I like chocolate cake. And, yes, you can sit next to me." Emma immediately plopped down in the chair beside Tommy's wheelchair, chattering away as if they had been friends for years. "I like your hair. It's really black and shiny. Mine is just boring yellow. Daddy says it's blonde, but I think yellow sounds better. Do you live here?" "We live on a ranch with horses. Do you like horses?" "Emma, slow down," Cole said with a gentle laugh, pulling up a chair across from Tommy. "Give Tommy a chance to answer." "It's okay," Tommy said, and Maria was surprised to see a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "I've never seen a horse up close. Are they really big?" "Oh yes." Emma's eyes lit up. "Some of them are huge. But they're really gentle. Daddy says horses can tell if you're a good person or not. I bet they would like you." Cole watched the interaction between the children with growing warmth. Emma had always been naturally social, but since her mother's death she had become more withdrawn around new people. Seeing her open up so quickly to Tommy was both heartening and telling. There was something special about this quiet boy that drew people in. "Tommy," Cole said, "Emma's right about horses being good judges of character. I work with them every day and I've learned that they respond to kindness and patience more than anything else." "What kind of work do you do with horses?" Tommy asked, his curiosity overcoming his shyness. "I train them mostly. Some for ranch work, some for riding. It's about building trust and communication." Cole paused, studying Tommy's face. "You know, some of the best horsemen I've known have been people who understand what it's like to see the world differently." Maria caught the subtle reference to Tommy's disability and felt a surge of gratitude for this stranger's sensitivity. Most people either ignored Tommy's wheelchair entirely or focused on it to the exclusion of everything else. Cole seemed to see it as simply one aspect of who Tommy was. "Can we light the candles now?" Emma asked, bouncing in her seat. "I love making wishes on birthday candles. What are you going to wish for, Tommy?" Tommy looked around the table, at his grandmother's hopeful face, at Emma's bright enthusiasm, at Cole's patient kindness. For the first time in 2 years, he felt like he was part of something rather than watching from the outside. I think I already got my wish," he said softly. "What was it?" Emma asked. "I wished for friends," Tommy admitted, his cheeks flushing slightly. Emma's face broke into a huge grin. Well, now you have us. Right, Daddy? Absolutely, Cole said, his voice thick with emotion. If you'll have us, that is. As they lit the candles and sang, "Happy Birthday," other festival-goers began to notice the unusual group at Tommy's table. Some watched with curiosity, others with approval. The sight of the lonely boy finally surrounded by people who genuinely wanted to be there was touching to everyone who had known the Yazzie family's struggles. "Make a wish, Tommy," Emma encouraged as the song ended. Tommy closed his eyes, thought for a moment, then blew out all 8 candles in one breath. When he opened his eyes, he found Cole watching him with an expression of such gentle understanding that it took his breath away. "Good job," Cole said. "What did you wish for this time?" "I can't tell you or it won't come true," Tommy said with a shy smile. "But I hope it does." As they shared cake and conversation, Cole found himself drawn into Tommy's quiet intelligence and gentle humor. Despite everything the boy had endured, there was no bitterness in him, no anger at the unfairness of his situation. Instead, there was a resilience and wisdom that impressed Cole deeply. "Tommy," Cole said as the evening began to wind down, "would you and your grandmother like to visit our ranch sometime? I think you might enjoy meeting some of the horses." Tommy's eyes widened with excitement, but he looked uncertainly at his grandmother. "Could we, grandmother? Would that be okay?" Maria hesitated. The ranch was 20 miles away, and her old truck wasn't always reliable. More than that, she worried about Tommy getting his hopes up only to be disappointed if the friendship didn't last. "I could pick you up," Cole offered, sensing her concerns. "My truck has plenty of room for Tommy's wheelchair, and I'd be happy to drive you both out whenever you'd like to come." "Please, grandmother?" Tommy asked, his voice filled with more excitement than Maria had heard in months. Yes, I think that would be wonderful," Maria said, her voice catching slightly. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison. You're very kind." "Cole, please." "And it's my pleasure." He stood and extended his hand to Tommy. "It was great meeting you, birthday boy. I hope we'll see each other again soon." Tommy shook Cole's hand solemnly, feeling very grown up and important. "Thank you for coming to my party. It was the best birthday I've had in a long time." As Cole and Emma prepared to leave, Emma threw her arms around Tommy in an impulsive hug. "You're my friend now, okay? And friends stick together." "Okay," Tommy whispered, hugging her back with tears in his eyes. After they left, Maria helped Tommy get ready to go home, noting the change in his demeanor. For the first time since the accident, he seemed truly happy, not just putting on a brave face for her benefit, but genuinely excited about something. "What do you think of Mr. Harrison and Emma?" she asked as they made their way to their truck. "I think..." Tommy paused, choosing his words carefully. "I think maybe they understand what it's like to be sad sometimes. But they're not sad all the time like me. Maybe they can teach me how to be happy again." Maria's eyes filled with tears at her grandson's insight. "Maybe they can, little warrior. Maybe they can." As they drove home under the star-filled Arizona sky, Tommy stared out the window and thought about his second birthday wish, the one he couldn't tell anyone. He had wished for a father figure, someone who could teach him how to be strong and brave despite his limitations. Looking back at the festival grounds where Cole and Emma were probably just getting to their own truck, Tommy allowed himself to hope that maybe, just maybe, his wish might come true. 3 weeks after the festival, Cole's truck pulled up the dusty road to the Yazzie home, a modest adobe house surrounded by desert landscape and a small garden that Maria tended with loving care. Tommy had been watching from the window for the past hour, his excitement barely contained. "They're here, grandmother," he called out, wheeling himself toward the front door. Maria emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. She had spent the morning making fry bread and preparing a small lunch, wanting to show proper hospitality to these kind strangers who had brought such joy to her grandson's life. Cole stepped out of the truck and waved, then moved to help Emma down from the passenger seat. The little girl immediately ran toward the house, her blonde pigtails bouncing with each step. "Tommy, we brought you something," Emma announced, holding up a small wrapped package. "You didn't need to bring anything," Maria said as Cole approached, but her smile showed how touched she was by the gesture. "It's nothing much," Cole said, tipping his hat respectfully. "Just a little something Emma picked out." Tommy unwrapped the gift with careful fingers, revealing a small carved wooden horse. The craftsmanship was beautiful, with intricate details that spoke of skilled hands and patient work. "I made it," Cole said quietly. "I do a bit of woodworking in my spare time. Emma thought you might like it." Tommy ran his fingers over the smooth wood, marveling at the lifelike quality of the carving. "It's beautiful. Thank you." He looked up at Cole with shining eyes. Did you really make this yourself? I did. It's a Mustang like the wild horses that used to run free in these parts. Strong, independent, and beautiful. The symbolism wasn't lost on Maria, who felt her throat tighten with emotion. This man understood her grandson in ways that went beyond mere sympathy. Are you ready to meet some real horses? Cole asked Tommy. The drive to the ranch took them through stunning desert scenery, with red rock formations rising majestically against the blue sky. Emma kept up a steady stream of chatter, pointing out landmarks and telling Tommy about the various animals they might see. There it is, Emma announced as they crested a hill and the ranch spread out below them. The Broken Arrow Ranch was modest but well-maintained, with a main house, several outbuildings and corrals where horses grazed peacefully in the afternoon sun. Cole had been working there for 6 months, serving as head trainer for the owner, an elderly rancher named Bill Martinez who had become something of a father figure to him. Welcome to our home away from home, Cole said as he helped Tommy transfer from the truck to his wheelchair. Tommy's eyes were wide as he took in the sight of the horses. They're so big, he breathed. Wait until you meet Gentle Ben, Emma said, taking hold of Tommy's wheelchair handles. He's the sweetest horse in the whole world. Cole led them to a smaller corral where a beautiful Palomino stood calmly, his golden coat gleaming in the sunlight. The horse was indeed large, but there was something peaceful and patient in his demeanor that immediately put Tommy at ease. This is Ben, Cole said, opening the gate and wheeling Tommy closer. He's what we call a therapy horse. He's specially trained to work with people who have different abilities. Different abilities? Tommy asked. Everyone has different strengths and challenges, Cole explained. Ben here is particularly good at working with people who use wheelchairs. He's patient, gentle, and he seems to understand that not everyone approaches him the same way. As if to demonstrate, Ben lowered his head toward Tommy's wheelchair, his large brown eyes soft and welcoming. Tommy reached out tentatively, his small hand touching the horse's velvety nose. He likes you, Emma said with delight. Look how gentle he's being. Can I really touch him? Tommy asked, wonder in his voice. Of course, Cole said. Ben loves attention. Here, let me show you the best way to pet him. Cole guided Tommy's hand to Ben's neck, showing him how to stroke with the grain of the horse's coat. The connection was immediate and profound. Tommy's face lit up with pure joy as he felt the warmth and strength of the magnificent animal. He's so soft, Tommy whispered. And warm. Horses are amazing creatures, Cole said, watching Tommy's interaction with Ben. They don't judge people by what they can or can't do. They respond to kindness, patience, and respect. Over the next hour, Cole introduced Tommy to several other horses, each with their own personality and quirks. He explained how horses communicated, how they formed bonds with humans, and how working with them could teach valuable lessons about trust and partnership. Mr. Cole, Tommy said as they sat in the shade of the barn, sharing the lunch Maria had packed, Do you think I could ever learn to ride a horse? Cole's heart swelled at the hope in the boy's voice. I think you could learn to do anything you set your mind to, Tommy. There are special saddles and techniques for people who use wheelchairs. It would take practice and patience, but yes, I believe you could ride. Really? Tommy's eyes were bright with excitement. Really? In fact, if your grandmother agrees, I'd like to start teaching you some basic horsemanship skills. We could begin with groundwork, learning to communicate with horses, understanding their behavior, that sort of thing. Maria, who had been quietly observing the interactions, felt tears prick her eyes. She had watched her grandson retreat into himself over the past 2 years, accepting limitations that others placed on him. But here was a man who saw possibilities instead of obstacles. I think that would be wonderful, she said softly. If you're sure it wouldn't be too much trouble. No trouble at all, Cole assured her. In fact, it would be good for Emma too. She's been wanting to learn more about horses, and teaching Tommy would give her a chance to help and learn at the same time. As the afternoon wore on, Tommy's confidence grew. He helped Emma brush one of the gentler horses, learning about proper grooming techniques and horse care. Cole showed him how to read a horse's body language, how to approach safely, and how to build trust through consistent, gentle interaction. You're a natural, Cole told Tommy as they prepared to leave. You have good instincts with animals. Do you really think so? Tommy asked, his chest swelling with pride. I know so. Horses don't lie, Tommy. Ben wouldn't have been so comfortable with you if you didn't have a gift for this. On the drive home, Tommy chattered excitedly about everything he had learned, his enthusiasm infectious. Maria found herself smiling more than she had in months, watching her grandson come alive with purpose and possibility. Grandmother, Tommy said as they pulled into their driveway. "Do you think Mom and Dad would be proud of me for learning about horses?" Maria's throat tightened with emotion. "Oh, my sweet boy, they would be so proud. Your father always said you had a brave heart, and today you showed just how brave you are." That night, as Maria tucked Tommy into bed, he clutched the wooden horse Cole had made for him. "Grandmother," he said sleepily, "I think Mr. Cole might be the answer to my birthday wish." "What do you mean, little warrior?" "I wished for a dad again. Not to replace my real dad, but someone who could teach me things and help me be strong. I think Mr. Cole could be that person if he wanted to be." Maria kissed her grandson's forehead, her heart full of hope and gratitude. "I think you might be right, Tommy. I think you might be right." As she turned off the light and left Tommy to his dreams of horses and new possibilities, Maria offered a silent prayer of thanks for the cowboy and his daughter who had brought light back into their lives. Sometimes, she reflected, the most important gifts came from the most unexpected sources. 6 months had passed since that first meeting at the festival, and the bond between the Harrison and Yazzie families had grown stronger with each passing week. Cole's truck had become a familiar sight on the road to the reservation, and Tommy's laughter had become the soundtrack of their weekend visits to the ranch. On this particular Saturday morning, something extraordinary was about to happen. Tommy sat atop Gentle Ben, secured in a specially designed adaptive saddle that Cole had researched and purchased specifically for him. The boy's face glowed with concentration and pure joy as he guided the patient horse around the corral. "That's it, Tommy," Cole called out, walking alongside the horse. "Feel how he responds to your voice and your touch. You're not just riding him, you're communicating with him." Emma cheered from her perch on the fence rail, where she sat next to Maria. "You look like a real cowboy, Tommy." Tommy beamed at the praise, his confidence growing with each step Ben took. The adaptive saddle provided the support he needed while still allowing him to experience the freedom and connection that came with horseback riding. It had taken months of preparation and practice, but this moment, Tommy's first independent ride, was worth every minute of effort. "How does it feel?" Cole asked, his voice filled with pride. "Like flying," Tommy breathed, his eyes bright with wonder. "Like I'm not stuck anymore." The words hit Cole like a physical blow, reminding him of his own journey over the past months. When he had first approached Tommy's table at the festival, he had been a grieving widower struggling to raise his daughter alone. Now he felt like he had found his purpose again, not just as Emma's father, but as a mentor and father figure to a remarkable boy who had taught him as much as he had taught Tommy. "All right, let's bring Ben to a stop," Cole instructed gently. "Remember what we practiced about using your voice in the reins." Tommy followed the instructions perfectly, bringing Ben to a smooth halt near the fence where his grandmother and Emma waited. The pride on Maria's face was unmistakable. Her grandson, who had been told by doctors that he would never walk again, was now riding a horse with skill and confidence. "Grandmother, did you see?" Tommy called out, his voice filled with excitement. "I did it. I really did it." "I saw a little warrior," Maria replied, her voice thick with emotion. "You were magnificent." As Cole helped Tommy down from the saddle and back into his wheelchair, the boy looked up at him with serious eyes. "Mr. Cole, can I ask you something?" "Of course, buddy. What's on your mind?" "Would it be okay if I called you Dad sometimes? Not all the time because I had a real dad who I still love. But sometimes when we're working with the horses or when you're teaching me things." Cole felt his throat close with emotion. Over the months, he had grown to love Tommy like his own son, but he had never wanted to presume or overstep boundaries. Hearing the boy express the same feelings he had been carrying in his heart was overwhelming. "Tommy," Cole said, kneeling down so they were at eye level, "I would be honored if you called me Dad. And you know what? Having 2 dads doesn't make you love either one of them less. It just means you're lucky enough to have been loved by 2 good men." "Really? Really? Your first dad gave you life and love and the foundation of who you are. I hope I can help you build on that foundation and become the amazing man I know you're going to be." Emma, who had been listening to the conversation, suddenly jumped down from the fence and threw her arms around both Tommy and Cole. "Does this mean Tommy is my brother now?" Cole looked at Maria, who had tears streaming down her weathered cheeks. "What do you think, Maria? Would you be okay with that?" "I think," Maria said slowly, "that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about the people who choose to love you and stand by you no matter what. And I think Tommy couldn't ask for a better father or sister. And I couldn't ask for a better son," Cole said, his voice rough with emotion. "Or a better extended family." As the months continued to pass, the unconventional family grew stronger and closer. Cole officially became Tommy's legal guardian with Maria's blessing and full support. The elderly woman remained an integral part of Tommy's life, but now she had help. Someone to share the joys and challenges of raising a special needs child. Tommy thrived under Cole's guidance and Emma's friendship. He became an accomplished horseman, learning not just to ride but to train and care for horses. His confidence grew, and with it, his willingness to try new things and push his boundaries. "You know what I love most about horses?" Tommy said one evening as they sat on the porch of the ranch house, watching the sunset paint the desert sky in brilliant colors. "What's that?" Cole asked, Emma curled up sleepily in his lap. "They don't see my wheelchair. They just see me. And when I'm with them, I don't feel different or broken. I just feel whole." Cole's heart swelled with pride and love for this remarkable boy who had taught him so much about resilience, courage, and the power of hope. "You were never broken, Tommy. You were just differently abled. And that's made you stronger and more compassionate than most people will ever be." "Do you really think so?" "I know so. You've taught me and Emma so much about what real strength looks like. About how to find joy even when things are difficult. About how to see possibilities instead of limitations." A year later, at Tommy's 9th birthday party, this time held at the ranch with dozens of friends and family members in attendance, Cole stood back and watched his son, for that's how he thought of Tommy now, surrounded by love and laughter. The shy, isolated boy who had sat alone at a festival table was now the center of a celebration, teaching other children about horses, sharing stories of his adventures, and radiating the kind of confidence that came from knowing he was loved and valued exactly as he was. "Thank you," Maria said, appearing beside Cole with tears in her eyes. "For what?" "For seeing him. For seeing past the wheelchair to the amazing boy underneath. For giving him back his dreams." "Thank you," Cole replied, "for trusting me with him. For letting me be part of his life. He's made me a better man and a better father." As Tommy blew out his birthday candles, Cole thought about the journey that had brought them all together. A simple question, "Can we join you?" had changed all their lives in ways none of them could have imagined. Sometimes, Cole reflected, the most important moments in life came disguised as small acts of kindness. Sometimes the families we chose were stronger than the ones we were born into. And sometimes, a lonely cowboy and his daughter could find exactly what they were looking for in the most unexpected places. Looking at his chosen family, Tommy with his infectious laugh, Emma with her boundless energy, and Maria with her quiet wisdom, Cole knew that he had found his home. Not in a place but in the people who had chosen to love him and let him love them in return. In the end, that was what family really meant, choosing each other day after day and building something beautiful together from the raw materials of love, patience, and hope.